ladies and gentlemen. Mostly gentlemen. Let's be honest. We are here for the opening round of the ESR Academy Series BMW 235i's at Brands Hatch. This is the Indy layout, of course. The GP layout is not in the game at this time, and should be mentioned that on the last patch, it looked like they were putting in some preparations to maybe have the full GP layout. So that would be fun. Not really sure why it's not in the game already, but fingers crossed we can get something. I am Michael Magas. I will be here with Academy Coach Paul Riccobene.
Hey now!
For your pleasure here for 3 15-minute races of Brands Hatch. Paul, you are completely unspoiled, so give us a rundown. Who are you looking for big things from in this race?
Well, as always, I got to root for my boy Scott Greenfield. But I'm going to say that Hemstrom and Guerin look like our two strongest drivers so far from the preseason testing, since we had that early non-official race. Also curious to see what Butler can do with a massive ballast placed on him. We know he's quick. Will 100 kilograms slow him down, though?
100 kilograms, to be honest, it's kind of weird with the ballast of these cars because they're kind of low power to weight ratio to begin with. I don't think the ballast per se makes them a lot slower on like a one lap conceptual basis. What it will be is it will make it harder for him to be consistent, and also will make probably fighting with other cars a little more difficult. Which is the idea, of course, because the drivers we're allowing to take part with ballast are people who have pace, but they have some racecraft things that need to be improved. Side-by-side battling, consistency, that sort of thing. And James Butler definitely fits it out. Ooh, James exploring the infield.
Interesting line.
That's not the line, James. It's not the line.
Yeah.
This is Rochelle Guerin trying to make a late run for pole. I believe this was when she dumped all the gas out of the car and just went for it.
Well, that's the right way to go for it. The one thing I'd be curious about with the ballast is what I've noticed on, a lot of the cars, is you don't really feel it until corner exit, and then you're going down a straight wondering why you're getting passed, like you're in reverse. So that's where I'll be curious to see if this car can handle that 100 kilograms or not on a corner exit.
So we have Stuart Hemstrom starting from pole, Rochelle Guerin. We got a little bit of time here, but I think, if memory serves, this was the grid. Scott Greenfield, Javi Perez-Torres, James Butler, John Pichia, row 3, Vic Nash, Joel Wilstein, row 4, and Yuri Nikolai. Oh, Yuri Nikolai popped up into 5th. I was wrong. Yuri Nikolai into the top 5. He joins James Butler with John Pichia, Vic Nash, Joel Wilstein, and Tobias Howard, rounding off the grid. A couple of people with some blank team names. We'll have to fix that.
Lap times look solid all the way through the field. I'm impressed.
Indeed, it was a pretty tight grouping. Mind you, this is Brands Hatch. We were seeing that even the instructors weren't necessarily putting up particularly better laps than the Academy members. You guys would just be more consistent. Over a race, you'd probably dominate. But the actual qualifying ability, people were nipping at the heels. I think Rochelle actually is still number 1 on the leaderboard, or number 2. So there you go. Yeah,
there's definitely a limit to how fast this car is going to go around here, and I think they're pretty close to it.
So here we go. We have red lights, and we are off. Should be mentioned, we are allowing Douglas DeGroot, Dixon Hurst, and Justin Kratz, who showed up for the unofficial preseason race, to take any points if people DNF. So despite their lack of attendance, they may be able. Ooh, Vic Nash very off the track there. So not great there from the Bonk racing car. Yuri Nikolai and Scott Greenfield going side by side. A little bit of contact. That's a little rude from both of them, to be honest.
Yeah, fighting for position. They're definitely being aggressive.
Oh, Javi Perez-Torres just got spun around by, I believe that was James Butler. More physicality through McLarens. For the record, I'm just calling that section of the track McLarens for simplicity's sake. It's technically the beginning of Sureties, McLarens, and then the end of Clearways, but I feel like just amalgamating that into one turn probably makes a lot more sense.
So it looked like Greenfield got the much better line through McLarens, and came out. And there's Yuri in the sand over there.
Well, Yuri, I think, went very, very wide into Jim Clark was his problem. Oh, and he's in the wall. Yuri Nikolai's race has gone from, well, actually pretty, like, podium battling to dead last and well off the pace. I wonder how badly his car is damaged.
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw, obviously he had good pace. He was driving what appeared to me to be very, very aggressive. Obviously he wanted to stay in contact with the two front cars, but, I mean, Scott's quick as well. I think those two would have been better off just taking a breath and letting a lap or two go before fighting to the death like that.
Absolutely. It's kind of let Hemstrom and Guerin make this into a two-car showdown for the lead.
Yeah, if they're going to battle up front, then it's going to make it easy for you to catch up. So that was a lot of wasted energy battling there for third.
Javi Perez-Torres is cutting through the grid. He's up to 7th after his spin, which we believe was caused by James Butler. When I say believe, I mean I do know, because that did result in a Tier 2 penalty for Butler. And Rochelle Guerin gets into the lead through Graham Hill Bend and will hold it through McLaren's. Let's see if she can get a good line into Jim Clark. And a little sloppy. I think Hemstrom's a little bit stronger in that corner, so I think that's something to watch for. But if
that's such a tough corner to be consistent at.
If the qualifying is any indication, by the way, Vic Nash and Javi Perez-Torres. Vic Nash fighting back, so he's not going quietly into that good night as far as fighting with Javi Perez-Torres. You know what, guy I'm going to shout out here, John Picha, keeping up nicely. He's actually still very much in track with James Butler. I can see that unfortunately, you can see the timing problems that have been plaguing us since the release of the race update, unfortunately. I think, shout out to the Racing Spectator crew, I think we need a new version, guys. I think something is not being handled right.
Yeah, those times are all over the place, aren't they?
Absolutely. And it was doing that for the Aguila race as well, and also, which was filmed by Martin, and this was filmed by me. And then also the 3D Speed test race was also like this. So it does appear that something in the recent race room update has maybe re-encoded something differently. The coding perhaps being an issue, because this does seem to be happening on every race we record. But it's not an in-game problem. So it's not a race room problem per se, but it seems like maybe the Racing Spectator tool is not interpreting data correctly.
Yeah, that was a big update. Some bugs are bound to happen, I'm guessing, right?
Indeed. Not so bad here, because this is a relatively short lap, and everyone's kind of in touch with each other, so we're not gonna need to reference the gaps too much. Yuri Nikolai and Toby Howard, I think, are out of the race, unfortunately. Yeah, there is Toby parked in the pit lane. So Hemstrom still on the tail of Rochelle Guerin. I think if I were to break down this lap, I think Rochelle is stronger in Sector 1. She was purple there quite a bit through qualifying. But that the third sector is going to heavily favor Hemstrom. So he just needs to stay close throughout the lap, and then he's going to get some opportunities in McLaren and also...
Oh, Scott, no!
Scott off the track. It's going to promote James Butler to third. So the ballasted car is on the podium. He's needed some help from Javi and Scott Greenfield and Yuri Nikolai all having problems, but he is there.
It should be a good training tool for Butler. Having that extra weight is only going to make him, push harder and really test his limits.
I'm not really sure if testing his limits is necessarily what we need, actually, because I think the problem is that James Butler tests his limits a little bit too often.
I hear you. Well, maybe it'll settle him down then.
That's more what I'm thinking. We need to settle him down more so than get him to push more. We will also have Gustav Ekstrom, who will be running that same 100-kilo ballast. He just missed this race by about 2 minutes. Heartbreaking. Should have been here.
It's terrible.
We had 3 signouts who I mentioned earlier: Dixon Hurst, Douglas Root, and Justin Kratz. Excuse the beep in the background. It's my Chrome telling me something. And we also were missing, without permission, Dave Walsh, who apparently forgot what day the Academy was on. So he has been properly given a little bit of a smack.
Well-deserved smack, it sounds like.
So Javi Perez Torres up on the tail of John Picha going down the inside of Druids. And I will mention, from reviewing footage, that I think Druids maybe is the one thing that a number of drivers need to tighten up a little bit. There were a couple of guys who were very vulnerable to attack as Picha is lost at their Graham Hill Bend, and indeed will lose 4th place for the time being to Javi Perez Torres.
What do you think? They're coming in a little too deep, leaving the inside line open?
I think it's more that they're. So when I was learning this track from Mike Stockmill via watching him teach Rochelle how to do this track, the key is that some of the drivers have been taught to kind of brake towards the Druids' apex. This is a good example. This both Stuart and Rochelle kind of doing that. By the way, Rochelle has lost the lead at some point. Didn't see how that happened. And others don't do that. They just kind of line up wide and then kind of take kind of a long route around, and that leaves a major opening to the inside that someone can stick a nose in and possibly try to make an overtake. Scott Greenfield, I think, will demonstrate that in race 2 with a couple of very nice Druids overtakes.
Yeah, I would approach Druids, like you said, the way that Rochelle is almost treating it more like a V, where you're going to brake into it and then, get the car pointed, turned out. Also, that exact technique is going to be extremely useful at Zandvoort, which I believe is the next track.
Ooh, I do have to mention that
3 corners that are 180 degrees.
I do have to mention that Hemstrom was in the lead and is now in 3rd. So I wonder if him and Rochelle Guerin came to blows. I can't recall what happened to him, although there was no penalty assessed. So perhaps just a driving error by the
could have been a
Swedish
mistake.
driver.
That's what threw me off. I looked up to see his name, and it wasn't there.
He's down to 3rd. He's behind James Butler. So there we go. Greenfield
Perfect
versus
example of just driving clean. James is just walking his way through the grid, right? I mean, he's not setting fast laps.
Well, not
but
so
he's keeping it clean.
Not terribly clean. He did punt Javi.
But he didn't punt himself, right? So.
Yes. But yes, he is picking up spots through other people's misfortune. Javi, he's had a nice recovery run up to 4th place.
Oh yeah.
On the tail.
He's looking strong too.
Scott Greenfield is also a man to watch. He's on the attack against John Picha. Not been a great race for Scott. P3 on the grid, P6 in the race is not the greatest of deals. And we also have a pretty good battle between Joel Wilstein and Vic Nash going on. So everybody is fighting someone except for the top 2, who are a little bit isolated.
That's perfect. Keep it exciting around here. There's nothing worse than 15 minutes of driving around solo.
Absolutely.
Unless you're leading.
But yeah, we've got 3 one-on-one battles basically going on for 3rd, 5th, and 7th.
Notice Scott hasn't gone wide at turn 1 yet so far.
Indeed, has not gone off the track. Actually, everyone was pretty good about that. A little bit of a spoiler there. There wasn't too much going wide outside of on lap 1.
Yeah.
A couple of people overcook it on lap 1, but during the race, I think everyone kind of more or less actually had figured out Paddock Hill Bend reasonably well, actually. So that was really nice to see. Vic Nash continuing to chomp at the bit to try to get past Joel Wilstein.
He's looking. He's going wide.
Joel is driving my old car from last season.
You're not surprised you're not taking part in the driving this season, even with some ballast.
I mean, possibly, but it also helps having me be able to zip around and do some spectator work. And to be honest, I'm kind of learning by proxy as well, because I'm sitting in on a lot of the coaching sessions, and also I just get to see what people are doing. So works out for a bit. So Butler is under pressure from Hemstrom, who's kind of pulled away from Javi, although Javi is still very much there. Although that is not the proper line through Jim Clark curve. We'll just throw that out there.
Yeah, I've been watching guys the whole race going way too hot deep into that corner. You just lose so much time.
So Greenfield has gotten Peach, I think. Peach is still could fight back, but I don't really know if any of the Academy drivers, no disrespect, could really make it work around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, Greenfield's definitely got the better line coming in. Maybe we'll see it in the background.
And into Druids we go. Hemstrom's still looking for a way around James Butler. This is for second place, and pretty key because we feel that Hemstrom and Guerin are kind of, at least right now, the protagonists in the championship. And he definitely would like to minimize the gap that she can pull off of this race.
For sure, and Javi's going to come right back into this battle.
Absolutely, Javi is all over that. Scott Greenfield is kind of on his own now. Looks like 5th place is going to be his home. He's solidly pulled out from John Pecha. Yeah, John's still actually kind of there. Hemstrom up the inside.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got the inside line into Paddock Hill Bend. That's going to probably mean he's got it.
See, that's where
maybe not.
That's where that ballast comes into play. You can see how fast he was able to pass Butler on that straight there.
Absolutely, but overcooked it into Paddock Hill, and far from gaining a spot, has lost a spot to Javi Perez-Torres.
Certainly not the plan. Uh-oh, Javi hit the grass.
Oh, Javi, no! Took out Hemstrom in the process, though. That's going to play into the hands of Mr. Scott Greenfield, who picks up a spot off of that. Can't really ascribe any malice there to Javi. He clearly just made a mistake.
No, definitely not. Wow, things went bad for Hemstrom real fast.
Yeah, this lap is one to forget for Hemstrom, who's now back to 6th place. Could have been in 2nd. And there is our race leader, Rochelle Guerin. Fastest lap of a 50.731, which is pretty close to her qualifying time. So, again, pointing out that these cars are not very fuel sensitive, to be honest, when it comes to pace.
Yeah, I know the other talk was tires. I don't think in a 15-minute race you're going to get into too much trouble in these cars.
No, I think the left front does definitely become very, very quick, and I understand the alarm on that. But like what I've been trying to emphasize to people, and again, I'm not really much of a driving coach, but it doesn't seem like there's really anything you can do about that left front. It's just going to be hot. Sometimes worrying about things really is counterproductive if there's just not really anything you can do about it.
Absolutely correct. I mean, you can waste hours and hours trying to tune that out, and sometimes it's just the way it is. Just learn how to drive around it. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. People were asking how to do it, like driving wise, how to calm them down, and the other thing, like, to be honest, I will calm the tires down a little bit, but it's only if I'm stuck behind somebody and like pushing isn't really going to matter, and I'm kind of screwing up for like one big move to try to overtake. That's when you could possibly take it easy on the tires a little bit and cool them down a bit. But the other problem is it's not like all 4 tires are super hot. It's really just that left front.
Well, it takes so much abuse at this track. I mean, a ton of stress in that front left.
So Hemstrom at some point has overtaken Pecha and has taken over 5th place. So he's salvaging something from this race, but definitely could have been a better result for him. And to be honest, there were a couple of nice comebacks. Greenfield had some problems. Perez had some problems. They're up in 3rd and 4th. Hemstrom kept it going as well. Yori Nicola is still running, apparently, although 4 laps down. Clearly had a front end damage there. You saw him hobbling through Paddock Hill.
We saw him hit pretty hard, but he did the right thing. He got back on the track, put some laps in.
Absolutely. And he's going to start from P2 next race, so big chance for some possible a possible big road showing. He's got pace. He's just got to kind of put it all together.
Yeah, I think if he just takes a deep breath in that first lap, relax a little bit, he'll be okay. Because he certainly had speed.
I think Rochelle is officially our winner, and this is the battle for second coming across the line. James Butler, Javi Perez-Torres, Scott Greenfield all done. And I think the only thing really up for grabs here is the 7th place battle between Wilstein and Nash. Good to see these two mixing it up. They are, of course, newer to the ESR community. And we hope that the Academy is really helpful. Oh, that is a very crabbing car. That
That'll slow you down.
that will slow you down all kinds of things. So there we go. Rochelle, your winner, and with fastest lap to her name. She was one of 4 drivers who managed to get into the 50s during the race.
Nice, guys.
All right, race number 2. It will be Toby starting from pole position with Yuri Nikolai, and it will be Rochelle coming from the back. See what can happen. Man,
so
to watch,
I think. Interesting.
Man to watch, I think, here in race number 2 has to be Stuart Hemstrom. 5th place in race 1. We know he's got top-end pace. So having a couple of grid spots between him and some of his more pace-wise rivals, probably going to help him out a fair bit.
Yeah, plus he's just dying to pull back some points. That was not the first race of the season he was hoping for.
Not at all. I mean, 5th place is not bad, though. It's a decent haul.
It's not bad, but he was basically trying to take over for 2nd place, and, things went bad.
Absolutely. Had a lap from hell there, and we are off into Riccobene. Let's see if anyone overcooks it. Any over-aggression into turn 1. I'm not liking that line from Vic Nash. I'm going to say that right now.
Oh, yep. The 2 leaders are in
Yuri
the wall.
Nikolai.
Somebody else is following them.
Yeah, Yuri Nikolai off, Vic Nash off. Ooh,
and Yuri in the front
into the wall
gone
again. Well, speaking of Hemstrom being the danger man, up to 2nd place already, behind Joel Wilstein. And another guy who got a really good start there, Scott Greenfield, up to 3rd place.
Nice. Were you able to see what happened in turn 1 there? I don't know. I'd be curious to see if Yuri was on the inside line. Did he push them both wide? Did they both just overshoot it? Any idea?
It looked like Yuri definitely overcooked it, but I think Toby was also overcooking it as well. So I think not ideal driving by either driver. That's what that comes down to.
Man, it's a shame.
And somebody is in the pit lane. That I think is Yuri Nikolai, whose car might be dead. He headbutted the wall quite.
Yeah, we saw the.
As
Scott again.
Scott, did he get a helping hand from Javi, or was that just
doing donuts back there? Yeah. I don't know.
That'll put him pretty much at the back of the pack once again. Scott Greenfield gonna have to make another recovery run. So quick recap of what we got, although things are changing, as that was Rochelle Guerin going off the track a little bit, and that has opened the door for James Butler, and also for Javi Perez Torres. And looks like Butler is through, but Guerin has flopped Torres off and retains that is 4th spot. So yeah, it is Hemstrom from Wilstein, Butler, Guerin, and Perez Torres, your top 5. The man out of place is Joel Wilstein. He's going to be a little bit of the cork in the bottle. And these 3 cars here, Guerin, Perez Torres, and Butler, may be better served working together to try to get him, because otherwise Hemstrom is going to run away with this.
Yeah, they don't work as a team here and start moving very quickly to get to the front of that pack. He's gone. Because he's consistent, too.
Absolutely. He's a fine driver, who I think is a real championship threat, despite that 5th place in race 1.
Yeah, we know that was...
Rochelle is...
Oh, she went in
zipping past. She held it, though. Although, that may have been helped by... Oh, Butler! Oh!
That is not going to help.
Well, that is Butler's race kind of kaput, so he's on damage limitation at best if the car even is still running.
Yeah, with the new damage model, I don't know how bad things are in this game. I haven't been able to drive it since the update.
Yeah, your force feedback issues. So here comes Guerin down the inside. So this is kind of what I meant when we were talking about Druids earlier. You can see kind of Joel taking a more conventional line into that. And it leaves him very open to getting overtaken by Guerin there. Mind you, I'm not sure how hard Joel is fighting for position. I think he is aware that he's a little out of place right now as Javi Perez Torres into the wall. Story behind that, Javi's wheel was dying at points during practice, and it died there. It turned off on him.
That would explain why it seemed like he just turned left intentionally into the wall.
Yeah. There he is in the pit lane, his race, of course. I'm not sure if the car was done or if now he's trying to figure out if he can get the wheel to work again. I don't know.
I remember having issues last Friday during the mini race, so That's unfortunate.
So
oh my
James
God!
Butler's
Look at
James
this.
Butler's still running. Just
I am
overtook.
shocked that he's
Just
still on
overtook
track.
Toby Howard. So James Butler gets the "You Can't Scare Me" award for this race, that's for sure. No front end, still going.
He's got to look over that crumpled hood. It's awesome.
Indeed.
And he's in 6th place. How is that possible?
Well, he's only he's overtaken Toby there, and he's ahead of Scott, who had that first that spin in Paddock Hill. So he's only really ahead of no one that hasn't had some similar problems in this race. Not many people with clean races going right now. It's really just Hemstrom, Guerin, Wilstein, Picha, and Nash who have not had some hardships. On the bright side, it might be that James is no longer the heaviest car on the track. That may be 100 kilos of bodywork off.
Yeah, he may have a master plan that nobody's thought of. He looks a little more aerodynamic as well.
Scott Greenfield. I was talking about this. Scott's going to make a couple of nice moves into Druids, and we just kind of cut away from one there as he Toby Howard.
Looked like he had him lined up.
Indeed. John Picha on the charge against Joel Wilstein. This is John Picha competing for a podium against Joel Wilstein. This could be good. A couple of guys who stumbled and fallen, and that has opened the door for people like John.
Looks like he's driving well. He was very consistent in race 1.
Toby. No, nice save.
Very. It's easy to lose the rear end there.
Mm-hmm. So Hemstrom is unfortunately having a bit of a boring day. He's kind of way out in front.
I assume he's not upset about boredom right now.
I imagine not. He had a very lively end to race 1, and I'm sure he's quite happy to take a bit of a boring win here to rebound.
His blood pressure is settled back down. He can start to focus again. I'm sure this is exactly what he needed.
But I can imagine that there is someone who's not happy about the boringness of the race, and that's second place lady, Rochelle Guerin.
Yeah, well, just go faster, Rochelle. Catch him.
It's hard, though, because, of course, I think Stewart is the fastest driver on the track. Not in a Mike Stockmill completely destroy the field sense of matter, but if I were to say who has the best pace, it is Hemstrom.
Yeah, I mean, they're within tenths of each other. I think they both ran 50.7s at some point in qualifying and then a race. I mean, on this track, you're not going to catch anybody.
Yeah, if you can be consistent, like 50 point anything, really, you're going to be able to maintain that. But you know what? Butler's car seems to be working reasonably well, despite how hideous it looks.
I'm shocked watching it. He really doesn't seem affected at all.
I'd say he's affected. Like, we're seeing him go wide some places. Like, that front end is clearly not biting like it should, but he seems to be putting up reasonable times still. As John Picha gets around the outside, can he hold it? I think he can. But, okay, he got ahead. I was going to say, if they go side by side into Paddock Hill, though, that was going to favor Wilstein. But Picha's got the car in front now. And onto the podium.
Nice. This pack of 5 is closing up. It should be interesting.
Indeed, of course, the danger man here is the guy at the back there in the red and black car, Scott Greenfield, who we know has good pace. We know Butler does as well, but we also know that Butler has a horrendously messed up car. And he overtakes Vic Nash.
He went way wide into Druids.
Vic is struggling through Druids. Vic, before we head back to Brands Hatch, which is coming up in round 7 of this season, I would suggest getting with the coach and talking about Druids specifically. You're a little wide there. But he's quite tight through Jim Clark there, so he's got some things going for him.
It looks like he got a little nervous with the traffic and might have braked a little late, and he couldn't get the car turned. Absolutely.
So there is the race leader, Stuart Hemstrom. I don't know how much he's leading by. It's not 32 seconds. I will point that out. That's the timing glitch kicking back in.
Shell's nowhere to be seen, so I'm sure he's breathing easy, just running nice, safe laps.
I'm just saying, it's not a half minute.
Well, this is 14 seconds now, so who knows?
Yeah, it's bouncing all around. I think probably the lower end, it was showing 8 seconds a little while ago. I think that's probably closer to what the gap is. Scott Greenfield all over the back end of Vic Nash. He saw James Butler get the job done. Now, of course, the question for Greenfield is, does he know that Butler's car is messed up? Because that could make a lot of differences here. And, why did Jim Clark there from Nash?
Scott might have it.
Camera, go back!
Nope.
Nope, Vic held it. Okay.
So he's looking for a way around. Greenfield's looking for a way around.
All right, coming into Druids here, I think this is Scott's best chance. He's pulled off a couple of overtakes of Druids. That's kind of what I mean.
He's got it.
Look how
Beautiful.
wide Vic is again, and boom, down
Nice.
the inside. And escorting him to the edge of track
and
limits.
Butler's through.
Butler got Wilstein into Grand Hill.
As soon as Greenfield thought he was able to catch him, he made his move.
Alright, so Butler, they're also catching John Picha a little bit. Not any ridiculous amount, but that gap is closing. So this may become for the podium at some point here. We still got 5 minutes and change.
6 laps. Come on, Picha, keep it going.
Come on, Peach. We want a freshly squeezed podium.
He can do it. I know he's going to do it.
I need to do that, Nate. If Assetto, of course, a Competizione allows for the full custom liveries at some point, like where you can put like sponsors and stuff on, I'm totally making John a freshly squeezed car.
There you go. What's he driving in ACC?
Aston Martin.
Nice.
Had a really good qualifying at Nürburgring, but the race was not really going to his favor. He qualified P4.
Wow, it's awesome.
It was a wet qualifying, so I think that might have helped him. But unfortunately, I think he finished 10th in the race. It wasn't a great result based on the qualifying. So Scott's now up on Joel Wilstein, so this will be a battle between those two. Butler just ahead of them. It looks like Picha has, I'm trying to get legged it a little bit, so it looks like Picha's pulling away somewhat. We'll see if he can secure that podium again.
Greenfield again.
Into Druids again.
Druids. Oh no! Is that
that's Hemstrom.
Hemstrom?
That's the leader. Leader is off. He has enough of a lead though that I don't think. Yeah, Rochelle's not even in the. There's Rochelle. Not really
And the blood pressure is back up. He must have been. What do they call it? Brown pants moment right there.
The only thing I can think is maybe Rochelle was closing him down, but man, I mean, sometimes looking at that gap, you got to realize just how big it is. Like he's very in front. You can take it.
Yeah,
very
back
easy.
off. Back
Exactly.
off. Relax.
It's up to Rochelle to be the one pushing like hell, not you.
Ooh, that could have been absolutely devastating to his championship run.
Absolutely, because if he had headbutted the wall there, he's off. I mean, he probably finished, 7th? So, and Rochelle would have 2 wins in the bag? That would be terrible.
I mean, we've all done stupid stuff, but with that kind of a lead up in first place to make an unforced error.
Next up for Scott Greenfield, James Butler.
I didn't even see him get by Wilson.
He got through Joel at the Druids again.
Oh, that's right.
It's all Druids.
We were talking about it, and then Hemstrom. Scott just wants Druids all day long.
Can I just have a track of all Druids? That'd be nice. Druids
Perfect.
1, Druids 2. So here we go. So this is where
he's going for the inside.
Yeah, this is where the ballast is going to kill Butler a little bit. Also, the fact that his front end probably is not 100% aerodynamic.
Can he hold him off?
Efficient. I mean, we're going into Druids, and he is the master of Druids.
Wow, I gotta give him credit. That was an impressive series of maneuvers right there.
Indeed. So Scott Greenfield, after being spun around, or possibly spinning himself around, I don't recall whether there was contact with Torres or if that was self-induced, but to the back of the pack, and now to 4th place. Fantastic comeback drive.
Absolutely.
Vic Nash and Joel Wilstein. These two were battling it out in race 1, and it's continued here in race 2, and Nash has got the job done into 6th place.
Little bump and pass right there.
Yeah, nothing too untoward though. These cars can take a little bit of bumping. So.
For sure. Hey, we saw Butler ran into the wall, and he's still
I do
driving.
kind of wonder if Nash just gave him the spot back though, because Wilstein just flew past him on the start-finish straight, and there's not really any reason that would happen. I think Vic maybe felt bad about the bump pass there, which, message to Vic, I thought that was clean. I thought that was above board. So, perhaps an unnecessary allowing of a position to be taken back.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I mean, it's a heck of a move on his part. Sportsmanship if he felt that he illegally passed him.
So there's Hemstrom. He's catching up to Toby, who unfortunately has had a little bit of a race to forget. Rochelle appears to be getting closer in the rear view, but like with the time remaining, she would have to do a human lap, to make this happen. So the battle I think of real interest here is Vic Nash versus Joel Wilstein for 6th place. Although it looks like Scott Greenfield's very close to John Peacher. Down the inside of Druids goes Vic Nash. Both of these guys were overtaken by Scott Greenfield and the Druids, so let's see if they've learned. And it looks like Vic maybe learned some lessons from it and completes their overtake to Graham Hill. Although he's a little bit wide, and it's going to open it up into McLaren for Wilstein to get the run on the inside. But I think Vic just carrying enough speed to secure that spot.
Yeah, I will say he may have wanted to leave just a little bit more room there going into Graham Hill. I mean, they were side by side. He really pinched Wilstein off with the track there.
I do think he was the head car though, so that is to a degree his right.
Was he a head car, or were they side by side?
I think he was. It was very close. Don't get me wrong. There was definite overlap going on there, but I think he had a nose ahead, and that would entitle him to
with just a nose, I wouldn't consider that. I wouldn't move over with just a nose, not intentionally. Although Martin may disagree after our race last week.
Rochelle Guerin appears to be done. It looks like Toby is still rolling, so maybe he has another lap to go. Here comes John Peach on the podium.
There it is.
The Peach is on the podium.
Nice.
Ahead of Scott Greenfield and James Butler, and there is Vic Nash, who has he has gotten Wilstein at some point again. Or pardon me, he had found him, of course, when he pitched him at Graham Hill. What am I talking about? We were just talking about that. Vic Nash, 6th place. Wilstein, Tobias Howard, and DNFs for Javi Perez Torres and Yori Nikolai. So the goal here for Yori Nikolai, who's starting on pole for race 3, is just to finish this race without destroying his car, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, he just has to relax. It's just way too much enthusiasm at the moment on that first lap or two. Just settle down.
But talk about a man who could make up a lot of championship ground right now. Look at who is starting on row 1 of a reverse grid. It's Javi.
He's going to do it. Javi's got the win. That's it. Come on, giving it to him.
He's got Yori Nikolai to deal with, though, and that's been a hard position here on the first lap, so let's see.
Yeah, maybe just sit on the grid for a minute.
Just let Yori take himself out if Fatakill is, I think the goal here.
Yeah.
Let's see if Yori can not overcook it this time. He's quite wide there, but it looks okay. We got James Butler up to 4th place as well.
All right, this looks better.
There we go. Yori in the lead. Come on, Yori, don't hit the wall. Excellent.
I think he's going hot in the Druids.
You know what? But he at least made it to Druids this time.
Okay.
It's progress.
He's got it.
So in the important battle, it looks like Rochelle Guerin's gotten the better of Hemstrom at the start and has gotten Wilstein between the two of them. So, Joel, we need to work on your starts, by the way, buddy. It's a little bit back. And here goes Javi for the lead.
Look at this. These two are going hard.
Javi Perez Torres taking the lead. By the way, Yori is showing his pace. I mean, he's already opened up a pretty decent gap to James Butler. So, as much as he's kind of that reverse grid position, he's not really a reverse grid stopper in the bottom. He just needs to focus on.
They're both moving.
Rochelle got a little wide there, but she held it and still continues to run in 7th place. As Stuart Hemstrom looking for a move there on Joel Wilstein, but nothing happening through Druids.
Javi is just leaving everybody. Look at this.
And Rochelle Guerin with a nice move there on Vic Nash into Graham Hill Bend. She's got 2 cars between her and Hemstrom now, and Javi, is just saying bye. Hemstrom seems a little bit stuck behind Wilstein. He's had a couple of attempted moves, but has not managed to do the gunmetal and yellow car in yet.
Yeah, it's a tough track. I mean, outside of Druids, you really need to plan your attack.
Speaking of Druids and playing an attack, we ride with Scott Greenfield.
I wonder what he's going to do.
He's on the inside of Toby Howard into Druids, and I mean, I feel like this is an overtake happening. And you know what? Rochelle Guerin tucks in and makes the overtake as well.
Absolutely. I think we found his nickname, Mr. Druids, over here.
And at some point, James Butler has gotten past Yuri Nikolai. Not sure if that was a mistake or a legitimate pass, but Nikolai down to third place. Greenfield is next up to take a shot at him, and has Guerin right behind. And Hemstrom has gotten past Wilstein, but still has Vic Nash, and, well, I said Vic Nash. I may have cast a Kirsten there as he goes wide into Jim Clark and slips to the back of the pack. But hey, all 10 cars are still running, and we are 3 minutes into the race.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's great to see no incidents.
All right. We have turned back to where Scott Greenfield is, just in time for Druids. And Rochelle Guerin is looking at Rochelle trying her luck.
Yeah.
But Scott closing the door.
Absolutely. She didn't realize who was in front of her.
Oh, Yuri is off the track again.
She's looking up the inside. This
rewind,
is a tough line. You gotta be kidding me.
Oh no, Yuri! No, Yuri!
Well, wasn't too bad, but still, he lost 2
too
spots.
bad,
Maybe
but yeah,
3.
He's got Picho, Wilstein, and Nash behind him. So he's dropped down to 7th place. So chance for a really good result, though, for Yuri Nikolai, I think maybe a little bit down the drain now.
Well, that's a tough corner to get, full throttle. 3 wide through there is a very bad decision.
Hemstrom, well, technically Guerin is the one that forced the 3 wide, but it worked for her, so...
It sure did.
It's, not really sure if it was an advisable move, but it did work, and I wouldn't say that she incurred any kind of penalty off of it, so...
No, I didn't see anything penalty-wise.
I will leave that up to you guys as drivers to decide whether you thought that was a good idea or not.
It was aggressive. I'm not sure illegal, but it was aggressive, we'll say that.
Yes. Sometimes you gotta be aggressive.
Absolutely.
I'm not really sure if that was the moment she needed to be aggressive, but...
you know where she wants to go.
Well, I would say first place, but Javi is disappearing.
He's driving great up there.
Indeed. That's John Peacher rejoining from possibly contact or just a mistake. Not sure which. But it seems to be okay, so we'll continue on. Although he is now at the back of the pack. So into Druids once again. Scott Greenfield's got Desires on 2nd place right now.
This will be interesting. Scott's quick. Rochelle right behind him is a little bit quicker.
And Stuart Hemstrom right behind them.
Yeah. And of course James, no slouch. So this should be a really fun 4-way battle right here.
Indeed. And then you got an interesting other group there with Vic Nash at the head of it, because we've not seen Vic be super quick, so presumably he is potentially going to be attacked by Wilstein, Nikolai, and Picho.
I'll tell you, the Greenfield going up the inside.
Going for Druids.
Did he get it? He got it.
I think he did.
Oh my God, this guy's
Butler is
amazing.
wide.
I'll tell you who's the biggest fan of this 4-way battle right now. That is Javier Perez Torres. Because the longer these guys battle for 2nd place, the further he goes.
Well, to be honest, I think another big fan of this fight has been Stuart Hemstrom, who was kind of nowhere for the first bit of the race, where he couldn't get past Wilstein and Vic Nash. Now that he has, these guys fighting has allowed him to come right up to the back, and it doesn't matter that he struggled to get through the traffic early.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give Hemstrom a lot of credit. It looked like while it looked like he may have struggled to get by, he was looking to get by very cleanly. You know what I mean? He wasn't just trying to force it through. He's racing like a professional. It's great to see.
Butler defends Druids this time because it's not Greenfield going for it. got a good group here, though. Greenfield, Hemstrom, Guerin.
Oh, Hemstrom passed
Butler,
Rochelle.
Hemstrom, yeah. Looks like Rochelle made a little bit of a mistake going off of Graham Hill Bend, and that opened the door.
With this group, any mistake, these guys are going to capitalize. It's just
absolutely. Speaking of mistake, Butler is off, and that's going to cost him to Hemstrom, and I think Guerin's going to get through easily as well.
Yeah.
So there you go, Scott Greenfield, second place.
With Hemstrom closing the gap.
With probably the two fastest cars on the track.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on one hand, you're excited. On the other hand, you're looking in the mirror going, oh, come on, really?
Probably not super happy that Butler made that mistake.
No, he was much happier with the chains behind him.
Because Butler does lack a little bit of the upper end pace, just because probably mostly just because of that ballast.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the ballast. And you'll see that, going side by side down here, so you'll know that you have that little advantage if you need it. But Hemstrom and Guerin certainly are not hindered by any means.
Indeed, no ballast for these three. They are catching up to Javi. We were thinking Javi was going to run away with this, and with 6 minutes left, 7 minutes almost, that may not be actually as given as we thought.
Okay, so now that makes things interesting. So, if you're in this three-way battle, are you looking to get by, or are you thinking, let's just create a nice, fast, speedy line and get Javi?
I think the problem here is that you have the two people who are really asking that question are Rochelle and Stewart, and because of Javi's DNF in race 2, he's not really a rival of theirs. So the unfortunate thing here is that they're probably much more concerned with beating each other than beating Javi. So that's kind of the problem here, is that with Greenfield, I'm sure Scott would love to just all right guys, let's go catch Javi. But like with Rochelle, her interest is beating Hemstrom, and with Hemstrom, his interest is beating Rochelle. So they don't really care about Javi.
Absolutely. So here's an interesting question for you. How do you know when a driver behind you or in front of you is trying to work a train to gain speed? I see this all the time when you get behind a driver and you're not showing your nose, you're not trying to make a move, you're just staying in their tail so you guys can get the draft going and everything, and they start going defensive, which breaks the whole point.
I think the problem is that there's not really a way, because if you think about it, driving in a train with the interest of catching up to a higher up car is very much following in the slipstream of someone. The problem is that when you're looking to overtake someone, you're also going to follow them in a slipstream until it's time to make the move. So I think unfortunately there's not really a way to almost communicate your intent in that regard with Hemstrom is on the attack. So Hemstrom is definitely not trying to follow Scott.
For a way through, no.
Yes.
There's no train here.
There's no train here. I guess you have to analyze it. Like we were talking about it, why would Hemstrom... Ooh, little contact there, but Hemstrom holds it. Greenfield holds it. It's a good job by both drivers.
Rochelle might have...
Rochelle might... Oh!
The little contact threw him just out of position.
Indeed.
That's unfortunate.
That was reported by Scott and reviewed. I think the problem is that Scott is, in the end, the one who turned into the contact. It's one of those cases where...
He looked a little loose.
You can't turn into a car that's on your inside that doesn't really have anywhere to go. That's kind of what that boils down to.
Sometimes racing sucks.
Oh, there's Yuri Nikolai, who apparently has messed up his car again. I feel we know what Yuri needs in terms of a coaching session. How not to wreck your front end 101.
Oh man, poor guy.
It's all in good fun, Yuri. We'll try and fix you up. In some ways, this is the first round of the series. It's almost good to be in Yuri's situation because we know with some drivers it's very hard to figure out what they need. What is it that they need to improve to make that next step? With Yuri, on the bright side, there are probably some very simple things that we can fix. and he will probably see a lot of like a massive improvement on the result of it. So that's
absolutely. To simplify what he needs race pace, right? He's running qualifying laps all day long, is what it looks like. He's on the ragged edge at every moment. Just take it down 4 or 5%. Keep the car on track.
To be honest, kind of reminds me of a Dutch hero, Max Verstappen, a little bit. Obviously, much lower talent-wise, not a Formula 1 driver, but when Max came into F1, that was kind of his problem. He was on the ragged edge constantly. And it meant that, he would take let's say a 10th place and turn it into a DNF, trying to make it into a 7th place.
Right. And we've all been there. I did it recently this week myself. I mean, sometimes you do stupid stuff, but you got to understand that you cannot keep that pace unless you're a stock wheel. You cannot keep that pace active.
Well, even a Mike Stockman does not keep that pace.
No, there's a race pace.
Yeah, his race pace and his qualifying pace are not the same thing.
Yeah, you always have to have a little in the tank.
Absolutely. And there's Joel Wilstein, who's running a pretty nice 7th. Him and Vic Nash once again battling.
The other thing I'll say, and again, it's just stuff that I've noticed myself over the years.
We did miss Scott Greenfield overtaking Butler for 4th place.
Sorry, Scott.
I feel like that does have to be shouted out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Scott. But in the opening laps, there's that mad rush to win the race. Everybody's jockeying for a position. A lot of times, if you just give the position up on that battle, you save yourself from going off track or getting in a wreck. Just let it go, gather yourself up, take a second, and start driving. A lot of times you'll get by, somebody in front of you make a mistake. It's not that important that you make up 7 positions from your starting spot to turn 2.
Absolutely. You need to be able to take. I hesitate to say don't try the hero move, because sometimes that hero move is actually the right answer.
Yeah.
However, I think it's treated as the right answer the majority of the time, and really, if we were to come up with like 100 scenarios where the hero move is an option, it's maybe the right answer 10 times out of that 100.
That's being very, very, positive on that outlook.
Indeed, that's going high. Like, the hero move is justified when it's like, all right, I make this move or I don't win a championship, sort of thing, or finish 5th, or whatever your own private battle is.
Right. But, your first lap or first 2 laps, your main concern should be good start, solid position, no damage. Find your groove. Let's get to work. That's
take what is offered, but you don't have to force everything.
Exactly. Good point. Oh, we've been talking so much we haven't even watched the race.
Indeed, checkered flag is out. So, I believe we're on the last lap. I think Javi still has to finish that lap. Whoa! What's going on there, Vic?
He must have crossed the finish line. That's definitely the AI taking over.
Joel Wilstein 7th, John Picha. Bit of a downgrade in race 3 for John. Couldn't quite make his way through the grid.
And there's Yuri.
You know what? He's dragging it to the finish again.
He's out there. He's still driving. Give him credit for that.
Absolutely. He may be the Dutch Federico Zwanger.
So
Rochelle.
An overall win.
I think that was actually the AI.
Nice.
Indeed, Javi takes round 3, which means we have 3 different winners. It's nice.
That's awesome. Very cool. And a 51-1. That's a quick lap, too. I mean, he's no slouch up there.
Hemstrom and Guerin were quicker, but they couldn't get the job done. So there you go.
Again, perfect example. You don't need to be the fastest person on track to win a race. He got out clean, and he just drove and did what he needed to do.
Absolutely. Even I have won a race. I know, it's hard to believe.
What?
Oh, sorry for the beep again. I really got to kill my Chrome desktop updates. This is actually annoying me on like more levels than even just the than just the interference in the recording.
That was some good overall driving, though. Enjoyable to watch. Good stuff.
Absolutely. I thought that was a very solid opening round of the championship. I'll give you a quick series rundown. Well, you know what? Actually, let's throw it out. Give me your top 5. Who do you think the top 5 drivers right now are based on the results we saw here today?
Well, we got Henstrom, Garin. Obviously, those two are going to be very challenging. Greenfield, I think, has the pace. He just needs some consistency. Yuri's quick. If he can avoid some incidents, I think he would be actually quite a force to reckon with out there. And I think Butler, even with the ballast, he's going to get the grips with that extra weight and start to find his way back to the front.
Well, you mentioned 4 of the 5 people who are in the top 5 in the standings right now. Rochelle Garin leads the way with 3 podiums from 3 races, 58 points on the board. Stuart Hemstrom is at 54. Javi Perez Torres, with his race 2 number victory, is at 41 points. Scott Greenfield, 37, who had actually 4ths in all 3 races. So there you go. Horrendously consistent.
Yeah, and again, those 4s are after 3 off tracks. If you just don't crash.
I think he didn't have an off track in race 1, if memory serves.
I don't know about that.
No, I don't remember.
I think he's been very consistent with his off tracks.
And James Butler is currently in 5th, despite taking the 10-point penalty in race number 1. Which, by the way, actually, this illustrates nicely, I think, something that Academy drivers, and drivers in general, but we're focusing on the Academy right now, should think about. James Butler had a 2nd and 2 5ths here today. That's 18 points for race 1, 10 and 10. Taking that tier 2 penalty actually made that 2nd place his worst result, points-wise. So, keeping it clean has a ton of advantages that need to be pointed out, I think, like at every opportunity. John Picha, 27 points in 6th place, ahead of Vic Nash on 20, Joel Wilstein on 19, and 4 for Toby, who unfortunately had 2 DNFs, and 4 for Yori Nikolai, who had easily the most interesting races of the day. And that's your top 10 in the standings right now. Hopefully Gustav, Douglas, Dixon, Dave, Justin, I think that's everybody, can join the grid next time around as we head to Zandvoort on January 4th.
Yeah, hopefully. I love that track. A bigger grid out there with a couple of those guys added to it should make some for a very interesting series of races.
Indeed, and it should also be mentioned that we still do have openings in the Academy. So anyone who wants to sign up, well, not anyone, we do have to vet you on the on everything, but there is room. So I will. Let's see here. Let me pull up the livery because we're kind of limiting ourselves based on the liveries. So let's see here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, no, that one's taken. 7. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty here. There's about 8 liveries that are unspoken for. So
come on, people, get in here.
If you think you qualify for the Academy, or you're a recent Academy graduate like James Butler and Gustav Ekstrom, we can obviously get you out there in a ballasted car as well. So we will definitely say no to some people. I know Josiah wanted to join the Academy once again, and we had to tell him no.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's enough ballast.
I don't think we have enough ballast. We need to throw Byron in the car at that point.
Yeah. That might help.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts for the grid as a whole, or even just like for individual drivers?
No, I mean, I already talked way too much about it already, but just, the racing was really good today. It was better than the unofficial round, I thought. A lot less chaos. It's just those first 2 laps, Everybody settle down and just relax. Find your groove. It's good.
I thought race 3 actually had a pretty solid first lap. No one really did anything particularly bad bad.
I agree. We had 10 cars going for quite a while there. But other than that, yeah, I mean, you're here to learn, and the one thing it's going to stop you from learning is crashing, right? So
Absolutely.
give up the spot sometimes. It's okay. Either you're just not going to get it back, or you'll find another way to get through. You don't have to fight every single corner.
All right, so hopefully between this and the steward/coaching video I made the other day and posted up, we can help people out. Again, if you need help, please talk with the coaches. They may not be able to drop everything and help you right that second, but they will make their best efforts to assist when they can. We are here to work with you guys, and if you don't use us, that's just going to hinder your development. So make sure to make that happen.
Absolutely.
And that is all from me and Paul Riccobene here from Brands Hatch. So good luck at Zandvoort, everybody. It's a little bit more challenging of a track. It'll be interesting to see if some other drivers come to the front as top-end competitors, or if it's just going to be that same kind of mix of Javi, Rochelle, Stewart, and Scott again. Although it should be mentioned, Justin Kratz and Dixon Hurst have been putting up some really solid times. So I think when they're back on the grid, that's going to complicate some things at the front as well. So that's
I can't wait to see it. This track is way more intense than Brands here.
Mm-hmm. Also, they had a lot of time to practice for Brands, so
oh yeah.
There will be a little bit less time for Zandvoort. Although quite a bit for Zandvoort, because of course we got the holiday season here, so we're taking that break, and there is that. By the way, at this point, you should have a Merry Holidays from the ESR crew up on the screen of this YouTube video. So happy holidays, everyone, and look forward to seeing everyone out. Well, kind of pointless to say this because the GT4 race will totally be over before I get around to uploading this to YouTube. But I look forward to seeing everyone at the GT4 race tonight. Or really what pretty much is a BMW Cup race, because there's a lot of BMWs on the grid.
Oh, really? Everybody going with the new BMW, huh?
Couple of new Porsches, and of course Mike Stockmill being interesting with the Lotus.
I love that car. It's not I don't want to say it's not a winner. Mike's going to win, but it's such a fun car to drive.
Indeed. I was begging Stockmill to bring the KTM. We might have a chance of beating him in that.
Maybe.
Anyways, have a good day, everybody, and keep on chugging, Academy Driver.